Hey Jazz Guitar Lifers, and welcome back to the Jazz Guitar Life video chat episode 7. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay, and if you're a returning visitor, thank you for coming back. Greatly appreciated. And let's get started. So, I've been away I haven't been away like out of my house or my province or my country, but I had March break, so I didn't do much during March break, and then I have been battling a cold, so I didn't do any video upload. So it's been about 2 weeks since the last Jazz Guitar Life video chat. So apologies to all if you've been wondering where the heck I am. But I'm back, so let's do this. So first thing I want to talk about is I recently, yesterday, uploaded a new podcast on the Jazz Guitar Life podcast page. And this one features the wonderful Bobby Broom, who we talked about last episode, I believe. Bobby, of course, is a wonderful jazz guitar player out of Chicago, has played with everybody from Sonny Rollins to Kenny Burrell to a whole bunch of other people, both names and maybe names you've not heard of, but still great players. And he's coming out on March 28th. So March 28th of this month, he's coming out with a Wes Montgomery tribute album and called More Amore, and I talked about that last episode. But it's hitting all the major streaming platforms. I would imagine it would be on Amazon and places like that. Of course, you can go to bobbybroom.com to pick up a physical copy, which is what I would suggest doing always, because a few dollars benefit the artist greatly compared to how many thousands of streams it would take to get them to make the same amount of money that you would pay. So I think I think like $15 or $20 for a CD would be the equivalent to like thousands and thousands of streams. So definitely buying a physical copy, showing that you support the artist, is way preferred and appreciated by all. Plus you get a CD, so hey, it's a win-win. Okay, so anyway, so I uploaded the podcast. We talk about the new album, and it's a very it's a candid interview in that he goes through the process of making the album. He's also not only a featured soloist but also a co-producer on the album. So he's wearing a few hats, and he talks a little bit about what those hats mean in terms of what his roles and responsibilities are in getting the music done and out. So it was really interesting. It's always great to talk to Bobby. This is the second time he's been on the Jazz Guitar Life podcast. The first time was a couple of years ago. I can't believe it's been that long, but it was 2 years ago. And that, if you haven't listened to it, you should definitely check that out. That is a very personal, candid, and just deep look into what it is to be a jazz artist in this world today, or 2 years ago today. So check that out. I will, of course, leave links down below in the description box for both podcasts. And I definitely think you should check that out. Bobby also did an interview in text form years ago. I'll also put a link to that. It'll be just like, spend a day with Bobby. He's a great cat. He's very affable. He's very cool, very philosophical, very deep, but also very fun and entertaining. So he's basically the whole package. So definitely check him out and listen to the podcast, buy the album, and it's like I said, it's a win-win all around for everybody. He's also got a re-release of his 2001 debut with the Bobby Broom Jazz Trio, and that has been re-released and is on all the streaming platforms as well. I'll put a link below, and you can check that out as well and get to see, a little bit of a progression of Bobby, 2001 Bobby and 2025 Bobby. 24 years, it's crazy. And you don't think it would make a big difference, but it just may. So give that a shot, check that out. And, obviously I can't speak for Bobby, but I think he would definitely appreciate your support. And any, reach out to him, go to bobbybroom.com, tell him you love his stuff, tell him you don't love his stuff. I don't know, it's always good to set up a dialogue, and it's always good. I don't know if you guys do this. The internet is one of those weird things that allows us now to kind of get in touch with our heroes, our inspirations, and it allows us to, you don't want to send reams and reams of text, but a thank you, you're very much appreciated. That type of thing, I think, really hits home to the artists, and I sometimes think that we maybe think that they're a little aloof, that they're a little, drawn inward, and maybe some of them are, and that's cool. But I think everyone would probably just appreciate a thank you, either by email or a Facebook message or a DM on Instagram or whatever. So if you're into that, give it a shot and see if it makes somebody else's day as well as your own. Who knows? Second thing on the agenda for today, Gene Bertoncini, the great New York jazz guitar player, fingerstyle, nylon string, electric. He's turning 88, and there is a birthday celebration happening on March 26th at 8:30 p.m. at the Birdland Theater in New York City. And this is being put on by Frank Vignola's Guitar Night. So Frank, obviously a huge fan of Gene Bertoncini, and probably vice versa as well. They're both excellent musicians and great people. Joining Frank, and I don't know if Gene will be playing, but I'm assuming he will be in the audience, and I assume they will have him up for a couple of numbers, but I'm not sure how his playing is these days. I mean, obviously it's going to be good, but I don't know if everything is working. I don't know. He's 88. I do know of him. I don't know him personally. I did have somebody reach out about a year ago saying they'd like to get me to interview Gene, but that never happened. So I don't know how he is health-wise. I hope he's fine. I hope it's just a normal, average 88-year-old. Yeah, but anyway, it's going to be his birthday. So joining them on stage is going to be John Pizzarelli, obviously a great guitar player who I've also interviewed a couple of times on the podcast. You can check those out as well. And Pasquale Grasso is going to be there. And vocalist Melissa Styliano. I hope I said that right. Styliano. So it's it promises to be a great night of music and celebration and friends, especially that last part I think is very important. The New York jazz guitar scene is quite a smallish community vis-a-vis the global jazz umbrella, but it's hard to think that these guys would not be buddies. So definitely, if you're in the area and you're able to make it, check that out. There was no mention of how much it would be, so just contact Birdland Theater in New York and find out. Okay, now speaking of great guitar players, excuse me, Peter Sprague. I don't know if you guys know Peter Sprague. Peter Sprague is a cat that I originally learned about back in the early 80s a friend of mine at a music school at that time knew of him and hipped me to a couple of his albums. And Peter Sprague, just amazing. A beautiful player, a great thinker. He's just the whole. Once again, he's like, you know, like Bobby Broom. He's like the whole package. And he's got a little place out in California called Sprague Land, which I'm sure is tongue in cheek. And I came across a couple of weeks ago a video that he did with of the song the Chick Corea classic Spain, and he just knocked it out of the park. I forget the musicians he's playing with, and I think it was one of those, you know, you play a part, you play a part, we're going to put it all together. But it's the arrangement is incredible, and so there's the actual performance video of them doing Spain, and then there is a separate video that Peter walks us through the arrangement, and it's just bonkers. It's just great. So I would highly recommend you guys checking that out. Obviously, I'm going to put the links below. And a weird thing, so I interviewed Peter about maybe 5 years ago, and I sent him questions for him to write type responses to, and then send them back to me. What he did was he didn't feel like typing everything out, so he just recorded everything and sent me a WAV file of my questions and his responses. At that time, I didn't have the podcast up. I didn't have the YouTube up. I didn't know what I was going to do with this. And at around the same time, the Mach 1, the original Jazz Guitar Life, was put to bed. And then I rewoke. I restarted Jazz Guitar Life about 2-3 years ago, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this version that I have of Peter Sprague. I could easily put it up as a podcast, but it kind of takes away the dialogue that I like to have with the musicians. So I think what I may do is reach out to Peter again, see if he'd be inclined to do a different interview for the podcast, or if he'd be cool with me just uploading what he sent me and taking it from there. So we'll see. But anyway, Peter Sprague, definitely check him out. He's a wonderful player. And unfortunately, I don't have his albums anymore, except I have one. I have one where he is a sideman on a Bob Magnuson album, Bob being a great LA bass player and part of the BIT school, Bass Institute of Technology, which is now all under the MIT school umbrella. So but a fabulous player. So if you don't know him, after you check out his Spain video, go to his channel and check out all his other stuff. He has an amazing version of oh, I can't remember the song, but he does a great version of Giant Steps, My Favorite Things. He does a great version of My Favorite Things, where it's just solo guitar, but it's just phenomenal playing. So definitely check him out. Another great player I've mentioned in the past, Ron Magril, Magril, came out with a new album the other week, I believe, a week and a half ago, and I believe it's his debut album, and it's also a tribute to Wes, and it's called Inspired. And I will leave a link below because it's now available on all the streaming platforms for you to enjoy. Ron is out of Tel Aviv. He's 27, so he's still a young cat, but he's just killer. His tone is snappy. His lines are great. It's like, you know, it's straight ahead. It's mainstream, but there's a bit of modern to it. And I find he's just an amazing player. His energy, the band's energy, is off the hook. So I definitely would recommend that you check him out again, and check. I will obviously leave a link below to where you can listen to his latest album on the YouTube and other things. So just a phenomenal player, and I look forward to talking to him at a later date, sooner than later, hopefully. And I also will review his album very soon. So we are basically going to wind it up soon. Oh yeah, two other things, or three other things. Jazz guitarist and educator Bill Farrish. I don't know if you know Bill. I don't know Bill, but I know him from a few of the Facebook jazz guitar oriented community groups that I belong to and check out every day. And he is a great player, but he just came out with a new book called Harmonic Landscapes, Basic Jazz Harmony for Guitarists, Volume 1. And this is stuff that's geared towards the beginner to intermediate jazz guitar player, the students that are trying to get their stuff together. And it's just, I haven't been able to look. He sent me a review copy, which was very nice of him. I haven't been able to look through it at length, but I flipped through it, and there's some great stuff. He takes progressions. He takes obviously the 2/5. He takes the progressions from All the Things You Are, and there's a whole. I think there's like 6 or 7 standards that he kind of goes through and breaks down and analyzes harmonically to give us a sense of what we can do with something, whether it be simple, whether it be complex, like, reharmonization, stuff like that. So definitely something to check out. I will leave the link below as well. And, obviously he's self-publishing this stuff. So any support one could give him, especially if you're looking to learn this stuff and you just can't find this stuff on YouTube, or you don't have a teacher who is well-versed in the harmonic capabilities of jazz guitar. So definitely something to look into. And once again, I'm going to review that as well, and I will leave links below eventually. Now, a very kind of cool thing. So yeah, I live in Montreal, Canada, and there is a gentleman who lives here named Sheldon Kagan. He, for the longest time, from I believe the 60s to the 90s or into the 2000s, was an impresario, somebody who would bring acts to Montreal to play. He was also a very popular DJ and a musical event coordinator. Basically, he wore a lot of hats as well. But he has a book out, and there was a something that he posted on Facebook a couple of days ago that I found very cool. He had brought in a bunch of jazz people, Dizzy Gillespie being one of them, Duke Ellington Band being another, and a very young George Benson. So he put up on his Facebook page a scanned copy of the contract that George had signed, basically telling him, you're going to be playing here, you're going to be getting paid. Well, no, they were telling Sheldon, we're playing at Place des Arts, we are getting paid X amount of dollars, and it's got George Benson's signature on it, the date and everything. It's got Sheldon's on it. Anyway, so he had a scanned copy of that. So he gave me permission to put it up on Jazz Guitar Life. So I created a post on Jazz Guitar Life where you can go and see this this pretty cool historic document of a very young George Benson back in 1972. So that's very cool. I'm trying to look at my notes here, but I don't remember I think it was like January something 1972, which was the time that he came into Montreal. Unfortunately, I didn't know of George Benson at that time. I was only 11 years old. So while it's very cool to see the contract, it would have been even cooler had I actually seen the show as well. But obviously I didn't, because I had no idea what jazz was, let alone who George Benson was. So very cool. So check that out. It's a fun thing, and like I said, it's a piece of jazz guitar history. And there you go. And of course, the last thing I'm going to talk about is September 12th, 2025. Spinal Tap 2. Spinal Tap is back, baby. So Spinal Tap 2 is obviously the sequel to Spinal Tap by Rob Reiner, and it features the Michael McEwen and Harry Shearer and Christopher Guest reprising their roles as Nigel, and I'm drawing a blank of the other two characters. But anyway, it's going to be a very fun movie. I'm just looking forward to it. I loved Spinal Tap. It was a great film. It rang a little bit too close to home for a lot of reasons, and I just could not take seriously heavy metal bands anymore after watching that movie. I still loved heavy metal at the time, and there's certain metal bands that I still listen to and stuff, but that movie kind of just changed it all for me, and I just could not take anything from that world seriously anymore. But in a fun way, and who knows? Maybe they'll do another Jazz Odyssey. So you never know. And that's about it. So I just wanted to say that to everybody. Sorry that I've been away for the past 2 weeks, but I am back again, and I look forward to at least doing these once a week. Once again, of course, if you have any questions or suggestions or comments, please leave them below, and I will do my best to get to them. And I hope you're all doing well. If you're on spring break now, I hope you're having a fun time. If you had spring break, I hope you had a fun time. And take care of yourselves. And I will see you in about a week, or maybe even before that. So keep in mind that jazz guitar lives at Jazz Guitar Life. Take care, guys. Good night.